When you go back to popes, John Paul II, he dedicated so much of his life to people like you, people in their 20s and 30s, young adults, who were interested in their faith and were in dating relationships or hoping to be in dating relationships or starting their marriages. And he shed so much beautiful, practical light on the mysterious dynamics of what's going on between men and women in their attractions and in their relationships. And I want to share with you some of these insights. What goes on between man and woman when there's that initial spark of attraction? I don't know of anyone else other than John Paul II who has really offered so much wisdom on this topic. You wouldn't expect it coming from some celibate pope, but it's quite profound. So I'm just going to get really basic with you here, just nuts and bolts. But just picture this scene, okay? There's some coffee house here in Denver on some Saturday afternoon, and there's a young Catholic professional that's there reading a book and sipping on his coffee and enjoying, a nice leisurely Saturday afternoon, when suddenly 3 women walk in, one of whom he's really immediately drawn to. And he's looking up at her, and then he's looking down at his book. He's looking up at her, and he's sipping his coffee. He's looking up at her, and he is just really drawn to her beauty. But the attraction, it's more than physical, because he's noticed her warm, charming personality. He's seen her here actually on Saturday afternoons before, which is why he's here again this Saturday afternoon. And he's been drawn to her cheerfulness. She's been drawn to her joy, and she seems to laugh a lot. And so there's something more than just her physical appearance. And these kind of attractions happen all the time, right? We don't have to wake up in the morning and really try to work out, okay, I'm going to try to be attracted to someone today. These things just happen, right? So there's, again, some guy could be at the grocery store and all of a sudden a beautiful girl walks by, bing, attraction. It just happens, right? Or there could be some gal at church and she's, close, about the 3rd row, and then suddenly some very handsome man walks up into the front row. And he stayed and prayed after communion even, and she can't stop thinking about him all day that Saturday, and even that Sunday, and then the next Monday. So these kinds of things, they just happen all the time. What's going on when boy meets girl, when there's attractions like this? John Paul II explains that the way God made us is that we each have what he calls sexual value. And we're wired so that we're going to be attracted to the sexual value of the person of the opposite sex. And so I have value and dignity as just a person, as a child of God, someone made in the image and likeness of God, just as being a human person I value. But we have these particular sexual values that really captivate our attention. What are those sexual values? There's 2 aspects here. You ready? So on one hand, there's the physical qualities toward which we're attracted. By that I mean that the physical features, the good looks. He's really handsome, she's really beautiful. So we're just attracted to the physical features, the body of the person. But we're also attracted to the psychological qualities of the person. And John Paul II describes this as, again, more than the physical. This is what he calls the masculinity of the man, or the femininity of the woman. So on one hand, there's a physical attraction to the body of the person of the opposite sex. He calls this sensuality, as a sensual, physical attraction. But there's also an emotional attraction, a sentimental attraction toward the psychological qualities, the masculinity of the man, the femininity of the woman. Now, I got to be honest with you, JP2, he doesn't really define masculinity or femininity. And I get this question all the time. People say, what does it mean to be a man? I wonder, what does it mean to be a woman? I try to figure this out. And JP2 just didn't really spend much time on this. He only gives this brief little description. I'm gonna just share it with you. Ready? He says, the man is attracted to the femininity of the woman. And then he puts in parentheses and in quotation marks, her charm. That's it. And the woman is attracted to the masculinity of the man. Parentheses, quotation mark, his strength. Again, I wish there was a lot more there to offer. I like to think of it as, we're attracted to the mystery of the opposite sex. Her charm, her warmth, his strength, or maybe he's chivalrous or decisive, whatever it might be. But there's a mystery of the woman, the mystery of the man that we're attracted to, that goes beyond just the physical features. Now, these attractions that we have, these are meant to draw us. These are good, actually. There's nothing wrong with this. God made us this way. If I happen to notice the good looks of this woman, or if I happen to notice, or I'm drawn to this woman's femininity, there's nothing wrong with that in and of itself. But it's meant to direct me not just to those qualities, but it's meant to direct me to the person who possesses those qualities. And that's the key here. You see, these qualities, they don't exist in the abstract. These qualities, whether it's femininity, masculinity, or whether it's some physical feature that someone's very good looking, these qualities don't exist in the abstract. They only reside in concrete human persons. And basically what that means is there's no one that just is attracted to, let's say for example, some guy is not attracted to just blonde. Like, he just wakes up in the morning and goes, I need blonde. I need some blondness. Where can I find blonde? No, he may be very attracted to a particular woman who has blonde hair, but he's not attracted to just blonde. Does that make sense? So the quality resides in a person. The same thing, there's no woman that wakes up on a Friday morning and says, I'm attracted to masculinity. I need masculinity. Where can I find masculinity? Where can I find some masculinity? And that's just not the way it works. Right? A woman might be very attracted to a particular man that is masculine. But the quality resides in a person. So do you see, so God gave us these great gifts of our physical attractiveness and the mystery of our femininity or our masculinity to draw other people, not just to those qualities, but to me. And doesn't that correspond to our heart's deepest desires? You want to be known, don't you? You want to be known. You want to be loved for who you are. Not just, she's good looking. And not just, he's very masculine. I mean, sure, that's nice to know that, but in the end, we want to be known and loved for who we are. The problem comes when we're attracted to these qualities in such a way that I focus just on the qualities, and I reduce this wonderful person to just these qualities. They give me pleasure. They give me a rush of good emotions, or good romantic feelings, or physical pleasure. So I reduce this person just to their body and the pleasure I get in thinking about them. Or I reduce this person just to the emotions that I may get from them. That's problematic because I'm not really in the end committed to the other person that I think I'm falling in love with. I'm just committed to what I get out of them. I'm committed to the pleasure, the physical pleasure I get from them, or I'm committed to just the rush of good feelings that I get from them. And both are recipes for a disaster in any kind of relationship. We're never going to find authentic love when I'm reducing other people just to what I get out of them. Because as we're going to see, real love is not about what do you do for me, what do I get out of this person. Real love is more about a commitment to the other person. John Paul II, he also talks about how what's going on in sexual attraction in human persons is very different than what's happening in the animals. In animals, they have sexual instinct, which is simply a reflex mode of action. It's not dependent on any kind of thought and reflection. It's like you go to the doctor's office, they got the little rubber triangle thing, and they hit your knee, you just kind of, you don't have to think about it, it just happens. That's what goes on with animals. Animals, in their sexual sphere, they're just acting on instinct. And you kind of can see this not just with sex, but you see it also with other appetites. Take hunger, for example. If there was a really hungry dog here in the neighborhood who has not eaten for 5 days, and we bring that dog into this room and we put a big juicy steak up here, what's that dog going to do? Is that dog going to run up and go, oh wait, I'll let the lady dogs go first? Is that what the dog's going to do? No. Or is the dog going to go up and get ready to bite and say, oh, shucks, it's a Friday in Lent. No, the dog's just going to act on its appetite, right? Same thing if there's some cat in heat in the neighborhood here. Is that cat going to go around and discern? Let's discern which man should I be with, which male cat, and interview different male cats, and we're going to, we'll start a courtship, and I'm going to discern, and then I choose you, and I'll be with you, Mr. Cat, in good times or in bad. No, this is not how the cats work. The cats just act, right? That's how animals work. And what's so sad is that our culture all around us our culture is trying to get you to be just like a mere dog or a mere cat. But John Paul II reminds us we're greater than the animals. We are like the animals, we're flesh and blood creatures like they are, but we're not a slave to our appetites. There may be a desire welling up within me, but I don't have to be controlled by that sexual attraction, by that sexual urge. And John Paul II says, man is capable to rise above instinct in his actions. And because I can think for myself and decide that there's an initial attraction here. Nothing wrong with that. That's how God made me. But the big question is, what am I going to do with that attraction? Am I going to allow that attraction to lead me toward authentically loving this person as a Christian brother and sister, first and foremost? Or am I going to allow this attraction to lead me to think, what can I get from you? What can you do for me? What pleasure can you give me? What feelings of security or a rush of romantic emotions can I get from you? And when we have that kind of self-centered attitude of love, where I'm just grasping, that's where we're going to always end up in a lot of problems. So maybe this is a good time to talk a little bit about what is love? What is the definition of love? Because our culture gets very confused about this. We use the word love in so many strange ways, really. You know, like we say, I love pizza, I love bacon, I love coffee, I love a juicy steak, I love the Chicago Cubs. You know, we say all these things, you know, I love, you know, and then I turn to my wife and I say, you know, after saying, I love pizza, I love coffee, I love the Cubs, and I turn to Beth and say, I love you too. What does that really mean? You know, well, when we say things like, I love bacon, it means the bacon does something for me. It smells good, it satisfies my taste buds, I just love eating bacon, so it does something for me, right? Or the coffee I drink in the morning. I like a nice cup of coffee. I like to hold it, it's warm, I like to sip on it, it wakes me up, I love the taste of a good coffee. It does something for me. The juicy steak with some sauteed onions on top, you know, I just love eating a nice juicy steak. Again, satisfies my appetite, it does something for me. But I gotta tell you, once I'm done eating that bacon, once I'm done with that cup of coffee, once I'm done with that steak, the love affair is over and I'm moving on to the next thing. So when I turn to my wife and I say, I love you, is that what I mean? You do something for me? And yet that is exactly what the culture is training all of us to think this is what love is. So I meet someone and there's this rush of emotion, so that must be love. You do something for me, you make me feel so good. You know, I just feel so close to you. I get this rush of you do something for me. Or you give me such great physical pleasure, sensual pleasure. You're doing something for me. That's dangerous. Because when we have that kind of view of love, we're going to end up in a train wreck in our relationships. Because who's married here? Is any married folk here? How long have you all been married? 2 years? 6 years. Okay, you two, you're still in love. How about 6 years? Right? Are you still in love?
Yes.
Okay, good. That's good.
This is not here.
We're in love. We're in love. Real love. But is every day of your marriage just about you make me feel so good? You know, I find as I speak all around the country to many college students in Focus, and I do a lot of young adult groups around the country, Theology on Tap, and I get this everywhere I go. You meet some of these like really devout Catholics, and they think, you know, we're going to rise above the culture. We're going to do Catholic romance. You know, it's Catholic. You know, in other words, we're going to focus on Jesus. We're not going to date. We're going to court. We're very serious about this, you know. And then we're going to really discern, and we're going to, you know, and then we're, you know, our future marriage will be so wonderful because Jesus is going to be in the middle of it. And it's really noble. I mean, it's really a noble thing that they want to bring Christ in. But there is a very sentimental, still kind of romanticized view of love that many of these people have. And so what many people can think of is love, you know, they think is like this, you know, we're going to, in our marriage, it's going to be so wonderful because it's going to be so Christ-centered. You know, we're going to sit around a fire every night, hold hands, sip some good red wine, stare into each other's eyes, and we'll whisper quotes from Theology of the Body to each other. So special. That's what many people think love is really all about. Yeah. Can I give you a sense of, do you have kids? Yeah. How many do you have? You have 2 kids, okay. So you'll relate to this story here. So this is what love is. So I come home from work. My wife is busy over here cooking in the kitchen, and there's all these books and things all on the table, a big mess. I got to go. Okay, let's get the kids. Let's clear off the table. Okay, let's go set the table. Let's help mom bring the food out. Okay, everybody got food out. Okay, all right, everyone sit down. Bless us, oh Lord. Okay, let's serve the food. We're serving the food. Everyone got something to drink. Oh, you want some more milk? Okay, we'll get you some milk. Okay, come back down. Okay, you want seconds? We haven't had first. Okay, but we'll give you seconds. That's fine. So here's some seconds. Okay, all right, ready to eat. And then someone all of a sudden spills their sippy cup. And they just go like this. They just stare. Get a towel! Come on, let's go get a towel. clean it up. Okay, so now we're done with the dinner. Okay, let's clear up the bed. Okay, we're gonna put everything in the dishwasher. We're gonna clean up. Okay, let's go give the baby a bath upstairs. Okay, make sure you get your piano done. How's your homework over here? Okay, good. All right, let's everyone get your pajamas on. Make sure you brush your teeth. Let's do our evening prayers. Okay, good. All right, you gotta run. Okay, now you go to bed. Okay, come, don't stay upstairs. Okay, go up there. Okay, get to bed. All right, and then now it's about 10:30 at night. My wife's laying in bed. She's exhausted. I go, you doing okay, honey? Yeah. You doing okay, honey? Yeah. Okay. All right. Good night. Good night. That's love. But the Hollywood view of love, you pick whatever movie you want, The Notebook or whatever. This is love. They stare at each other's eyes. You make me feel so good. I'm sorry. That is not. How much is your life like this? Even you young two-year-old, married couples, are you just staring at each other's eyes? And real love is not about staring at each other's eyes. Because I want you to notice how self-centered that understanding of love is. You make me feel so good. That's a dangerous view of love. If you measure your relationships on your feelings, you're setting yourself up for a train wreck. I promise you. Because our culture, what happens if you lost those loving feelings? Then whoa, oh, I must not be in love. And that's why all these couples break up and end their marriages 5, 10, 15 years into it. Because they think that love is about the feelings. And I gotta tell you, I've met not just young Catholic professionals, I've met middle-aged Christian professionals, or even non-Christian people. I remember flying to Pennsylvania once. I'm on a plane, there's some woman, probably about 40 years old, again, really professional. She seems to have it all together in her life. She's married, got a couple kids, been really successful in her career, and I was giving a conference on marriage. She asked me what I'm speaking on. I'm telling her some of these ideas, and she's just like, really? Love isn't about all that. Wow, thank you so much. You saved my marriage. I'm like, what? I've been really just so disappointed because my marriage isn't like all those love songs I listen to. Really? But this is actually where so many people are at. Because this is just what they take in and day out. What they're listening to, what they're watching, what they're seeing. This is their view of love. And it was getting this woman to question whether she should stay on in her marriage. Make sure you get a proper view of love. What's the proper view of love? It's not about what do you do for me, you make me feel so good. It's not about staring at each other's eyes like this. It's more about two people shoulder to shoulder, looking outward and serving something bigger than themselves. And that's one advice I always give to young people when they're in a dating relationship. They always say, well, what's something we could do? You know what you do? Don't just spend, you need one-on-one time to get to know each other, but don't spend all this time like this. Even if you got your rosary beads out, okay? Don't just, what you need to do is spend some time shoulder to shoulder, serving others, some greater good outside yourself. Go serve the poor together, or serve your parish together, serve some families you know together. Go be shoulder to shoulder and serve, because that's what real love is about. It's not about you do this for me. And this is true in any kind of relationship of love, but especially in marriage. The greater goods outside of yourself are those children that you may be blessed with. 24/7, constantly pouring yourself out in love. That's an authentic understanding of love. Now, the challenge today is that we have such a romanticized view of love. And John Paul II highlights how dangerous it is when we get swept away by our emotions, by our feelings. He says, today, love is often reduced to feelings. We use feelings as the measure, the thermometer to gauge, am I in love? And that's very dangerous, he says, because feelings are blind. It doesn't mean feelings are bad. It doesn't mean if you have feelings, that's a bad thing. I mean, imagine my marriage. Honey, I love you. I'm committed to you. I would die for you. I have no feelings for you, but I love you. And that's not love. So hopefully there's feelings that make up, but the feelings don't define, they're not the essence of an authentic relationship of love. Why is that? Because if I want to discern, am I really in a good relationship with someone, why is it dangerous to gauge my feelings all the time? Think about that. What part of the soul did God give us to figure out what is true? Is it the mind? Is it the will? Or is it our feelings, our emotions? When you're in math class, for example, you go to math class and you want to discern what is 2 plus 2? What are you using your mind, your feelings, or your emotions to figure that out? God gave you a mind. He wants you to use it. right? I mean, imagine someone going to the math class. Well, no, teacher, it's 5. No, it's actually 2. No, but teacher, for me, 2 plus 2 just feels like 5. It just feels, like those 2 straight lines and the curve. It just feels like, you go, that guy's crazy, right? He's just crazy. And yet we fall into all these relationships and you're trying to discern, is this the kind of guy I want to date? Is this the kind of man I want to marry? Is this the kind of man I want my children one day to imitate, his qualities? I'm not asking rational questions. I gauge often by my feelings, and that's dangerous. That's dangerous, So for example, there's, take a young woman's attracted to some man. She needs to ask herself not just, is he really handsome? Is he successful? I mean, those are all fine things. But you gotta ask this, is this man a man of virtue? Does he have the habit of sacrificing to serve other people? Or does he just play computer games all day long and just watch sports all day long? If he's constantly just entertaining himself, he probably doesn't have the habit, the virtue, the ease to deny himself and make sacrifices to serve others because he's always entertaining himself. That's a real question. That's a question of the mind. It has nothing to do with your feelings. Same thing with, there might be some guy here that's really attractive. She's just so hot, or she's just so good looking, and she's just so fun to be with. That's wonderful. But you got to ask some real important questions. Is this a woman who can shoulder a lot of responsibility in life? Can she carry a lot of weight? I don't mean physical weight necessarily, although that happens if you get pregnant. But if she's going to be the mother of my kids today, motherhood is really demanding. It's difficult. And if she's someone that always just like people serving her all the time, it's not going to be easy for her to be a great mom. These are real questions we have to ask. The challenge is that we end up falling easily into idealization, John Paul II says, where we meet somebody and all of a sudden we make them to be much greater than they really are in reality. Let's just say here at YCP, there's some new man that moved in from LA, and he just showed up here at the meeting tonight, and some woman here has like a 20-minute conversation with him. And she leaves, and she can't stop thinking about him. The next morning she wakes up, she's picturing what kind of wedding dress she's going to wear. And you women laugh, but you've told me that you do this in the first encounter. So guys, watch out. 20-minute conversation, be careful, okay? Just watch out. But this just happens because all of a sudden we just idealize, right? Or some guy again meets some gal and just all of a sudden makes her out to be, she's just this incredible Catholic woman. Why do we do that? John Paul II says, we oftentimes exaggerate the other person's qualities because we're so desperate to find Mr. Perfect or Mrs. Perfect. And so I notice, this person has 3.5 of my top 10 qualities I'm looking for in the ideal, perfect, mate. And so they have only 3.5, but I project upon them, well, they must have all these other ones. And the challenge is, when I am attracted in this way, I'm not really in love with the real person. I'm in love just with the ideal that I created here. And so it's not really a love of this person. I'm in love with this ideal that I created because that's just so wonderful. I think maybe I found the one, and I get this rush of emotion from thinking about this. Oh, this could be the one. But I don't even really know the real person. I've fallen in love with this idealization that I made up in my own mind. And John Paul II says that that's a very dangerous thing. So a lot of people talk about physical chastity, premarital sex and all that. But I was highlighting tonight something that a lot of people don't talk about, and that's guarding our hearts and our emotions, so we're not just swept away in a false view